Miranda, how are you?
I am great, thank you. How are you, Leon?
Yeah, I'm very well. Whereabouts are you in the world?
I'm in Leeds in the UK.
Very
Yeah,
nice
like
city.
north of the UK.
Yeah, I know it well. I had a friend in Headingley for a while. Is it
Oh,
Headingley?
I live around the corner from Headingley. I live in
Do
Meanwood, just down the road. Yeah.
you know what? I think that might be where he was.
Ah,
University.
small world. Yeah.
Small world, but I wouldn't like to paint it, as the phrase goes.
Yeah.
So, good weekend.
It's been beautiful, thank you. Yeah, really lovely weekend. Yeah, got a new car because mine broke down, so that was really great. Really enjoyed that. And yesterday I had a gig, so that was fantastic.
Yay.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Cars and gigs, you can't go wrong.
And I was really surprised to find that you've managed to find a way to help people via the National Health Service in England with Course in Miracles principles. I was literally like, oh my God, wow. I love.
I'm having them recite in week 7. No, in week 6 as they wipe their boards clear of limiting beliefs. I'm having them assert I loose the world from all I thought it was. We've got Course in Miracles up on the wall that it's embedded in the program I've created utterly.
Good. I tell you what, I'd really like you to tell us about is this idea with the lenses, like the coloured lenses and the writing on there, because I think that's a fantastic bit of thinking.
Yeah, well, it's in week 6 of the Heroes Group Work Program, which is the program that you're talking about that I designed and that's rolling out through the National Health Service in the UK. Week 6 is called the True Meaning of Forgiveness, and throughout the program, you know, we teach that from trauma we create beliefs about ourselves and who we are as people. You know, we create an identity for ourselves and a mental concept of who we are, such as I am not safe, I am not worthy of love. The pain that we encounter, that all of us encounter on some level, distress, living in the human experience, or not being loved as much as we'd have craved, etc., etc. We create beliefs about ourselves within that process that tell us that we're something that we're not. So then that fear comes up for us as adults. And in the Heroes Group Work Program, we're very keen on getting people to identify the beliefs they've created about themselves so that they know what they're dealing with, so that they can wipe out that illusion. So in this session, we ask people to tell us about a grievance that they're holding within a situation. Could be with anyone. It could be for 5 years, 10 years. It could be last week, a trigger. We get them to identify a grievance that they're holding. And then we just say to them, well, take every other person out of it, take the situation out of it, take the circumstance out of it, take the experience out of it, and take the other person completely out of it. And you're just left with the feeling. What is that feeling telling you about who you are? It's that process that A Course in Miracles talks about, that turning inwards.
Yeah.
And in that process, when we see, okay, whatever they've said, they did, the situation did to me, whatever that is on the external world, it's firing off a belief I created about me that needs to be forgiven. And that's the true meaning of forgiveness. That's what we teach it is. It's a healed perception, like the Course says. So we get them to write that belief that they're telling themselves about themselves. You know, someone's spoken to them badly. Their belief that's coming from them is, I'm not good enough or whatever. So we get them to write it across the clear perspex lens, and we get them to hold up a red lens in front of their eyes, and we say, okay, look through the red lens, everything's red, isn't it? Blue lens, okay, look through the blue lens, everything's blue, isn't it? And then we get them to hold up that lens. Everywhere I look, I am not good enough, I am not good enough. And this belief, and then we get them to wipe that belief off the board whilst affirming out loud, I loose the world from all I thought it was. And then everyone just gives them a round of applause. So we use the Course teachings in those kind of creative ways in the program. It's quite a long-winded way to explain, but I guess that like we can all do that in the moments that we hold a big grievance. We have that opportunity to turn inwards and release whatever the belief is about ourselves and return to the truth that, you know, the Son of God is our identity, as the Course teaches, you know. And
Amazing.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. It reminds me that sort of late last year, I went to a residential course in Yorkshire, Settle, up in
Oh,
the hills.
beautiful, North
And it
Yorkshire.
was snowing, so it was absolutely glorious. I got up every morning before the sun rose and went and walked out in the snow and just watched the sunrise, and it was just, oh, amazing. But it was a training course to become a professional celebrant.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that you're doing that celebrant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
so
Brilliant.
thank you. So on the first day, the main guy behind it asked everybody what your fear was. And for me, I think my fear was because being a musician, I can stand up and talk in front of people and hold an audience's attention. I've actually spoken on behalf of many people at funerals and weddings before, so I know I can do that. And I said to the guy, so he's up in front of a whiteboard, he's like, Leon, what's your concern? And it was to try and find that demarcation in myself in terms of my intention of wanting to honor and represent this ceremony. But in the case of, say, like the loss of a funeral, I know that part of me would also want to scoop everybody up in the room and kind of heal them of their hurt.
Mm.
And the reality of my role in that service would just obviously be to present the story in a loving, caring way, and to know that these other desires are nice, but they're kind of secondary. And this guy sort of responded to my admission, if you like, and he wrote it down. He said, "Don't worry, you know, you will come to understand that line between what you need to do and what's not really your place to do." So I thought that was really clever. And he went around the whole room. There's only 14 of us. And then on the Friday night, when we'd finished and everybody had had their meal and maybe like a glass of wine with the meal, we went outside and they had a fire pit. And lo and behold, he pulled out of his pocket a piece of paper for everybody. And when you opened it up, it was your fear from day one. And you threw it on the fire. And then everybody said something, and we all just watched it go up in smoke because now we'd had the training.
Brilliant. Yeah, burn the beliefs. Well, burn the crap beliefs. Keep the great beliefs, you know, that you instill in your mind through faith, connection to source, connection to others. Maintain that belief that we are one, but all the other beliefs, bye.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything more.
Yeah.
You know, Eckhart Tolle says, he says that one of the most powerful places that you can be in your life, he's like, the most powerful question is like, no, not question, is when you get to a place where you're like, I don't know who I am anymore. And in that process, it's like, oh my God, so I've remembered. Who I am is not I, me, separate. I love that.
Yeah.
Don't know who I am anymore. Okay, let go of the beliefs. I don't have a clue. Tell me, show me.
Yeah.
Where do you have me go today? What would you have me do? What would you have me say, and to whom?
Yeah.
You know,
Defer.
burn those beliefs.
Yeah.
Burn anything that tells you that you are separate to others. Burn anything that tells you you're comparable to others, or that you're not worthy, or that you're bad, or that you're shameful, or that you deserve guilt, you know, or that you're not good enough. Burn everything that attests to that. Because of course, as well, one of the most beautiful lines in the course, it was a lesson that I had the other day, actually. It's fear is not justified in any form. And it says, fear is deception. It attests that you have seen yourself as you could never be, and thus look upon a world that is impossible. Fear, or this is what I love about the course, it simplifies things so beautifully. Fear is deception. Okay, so every time I'm in fear or I'm feeling anxiety, I'm deceiving myself on some level.
Sure.
I'm an illusion. Okay, beautiful, very clear. So every time I'm in fear, I know I'm in illusion. And it's attesting to the fact that I've seen myself as I could never be.
Mm-hmm.
So fear is only ever that I've forgotten who the hell I am. Essentially, isn't it? It's like if we're in fear of any kind, we have to ask that question. Have I forgotten who I am again? You know, what am I telling myself? Telling myself I'm weak when I'm actually strong. Telling myself I'm not capable when I actually am. Telling myself I'm not lovable when that is my identity, you know. And And I love that simplification of things. Every time we're in fear, we've just forgotten who we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, burn the beliefs. burn the beliefs that aren't serving you anymore.
But I know one thing that I'd mentioned to you that seems to be quite an interesting topic at the moment, because very few people, a lot of people come to the course via trauma, don't they? Their own trauma. A lot of people come via 12 step as well. So we do reach our there must be another way experience. And we know from an ego point of view that the backstory of what's happened to us is kind of what perpetuates it, and it wants us to not look within. It wants us to keep as much as we can in unawareness, and then obviously with repression then follows projection. So again, it's all looking out, putting everything elsewhere, never turning inwards. And then we have this story that we attach ourselves to, like you're describing with the technique to use the lenses and to wipe that off. That shapes our identity. And it just seems so interesting that counterintuitively to the ego's thinking, which is obviously deception, as you say, we find that our freedom comes from cutting cords with the story, and also from, like, say, if there's secrets, the stuff in my childhood with secrets, about things which you feel define you and you can't talk about them, and they weigh heavily on you, and there's a very enmeshed kind of connection between how you feel those experiences shape you. So, ironically, to let go of that story, there's so much freedom in it, and the way you
There
let
is, but
go,
there's also the fear of death.
yes,
And this is where people sometimes lose track or lose discipline, because there's a fear of death. Because and this is why it's very important that we don't mistake the body for who we are. Because what we really need to do, I'd love it if we could do a Course in Miracles for the body, because we live within the body. We're in the human experience, and the body, when it comes to trauma, it becomes very wired, like a computer program. The body becomes wired with these threat responses that fire off, and the problems occur when we allow that firing off of the threat response in the nervous system to become a thought, where we attach a thought to it. So there needs to be a lot of education, I believe, not just on the level of mind, not just on the level of undoing the conditioning, releasing the beliefs, not just on that level of mind. There has to be education around how to deal with the body as well, and to teach the body, I believe, because somatically, we can, I believe thoughts, the course teaches I'm affected only by my thoughts. There's always a thought, there's a way we've perceived something that's fired off a bodily response, but it can be very, very helpful to learn how to work with the body's responses as well as the mind, these two levels. Because, and what I say about the fear of death is sometimes the fear of rejection, the fear of separation, not belonging, not fitting in, not being loved, not being accepted by others, because we need the feeling of connection for good mental health, because we are one, because that's the truth. So when we lose grip with that, the fear of rejection is, I've seen inside so many people's heads over the last 2 decades, working in mental health nonstop, hearing about people's trauma and the stuff in their heads. It's fascinating. It's a brilliant job. It's amazing, because what I've become to realize is that everybody's so scared of rejection. And if you peel back the layers of all these complex traumas, that you peel them back, and it looks like it's something else, and then it looks like it's something else. And really, people are so afraid of being separate from others, not fitting in, not belonging, not feeling part of this whole. People are so afraid of that. And in the body, it can feel like the fear of death, a threat response. So we have to protect. We have to push away love in case it goes. And it's the defenses. And we could talk about if I defend myself, I'm attacked, in the form of the level of body as well. It's the protector part that steps in and tells us to, if we've got a belief going off of I'm not safe in the mind, it's going to represent in the body that we're not safe in the body, and we're going to keep ourselves away from doing the thing that doesn't fit with the identity of who we are, doing the incredible thing, getting on that stage, doing that incredible thing to shine your light. Fear of death. This is why people say the fear of public speaking, it's so huge for them. I'm going to always stay away from that. And this is why what we need to teach as well, it's all very well saying fear is deception, you know, and it's the truth. I personally believe everything in the course is the truth, and it's helped me live my life to levels. I really do. Every word in that book.
Absolutely.
But what I found when working with human beings and teaching these principles and trying to make them even more accessible, I mean, for me, the course is the most accessible thing I've ever encountered, but it's not for everybody. It's not, you know, accessible for everybody. So turning that into something more accessible, I've found it can be really, really beautiful to work with the ego, befriending the ego. That the ego is not the enemy at all. It's like, oh my God, come close. It's a call for love. Oh my God, come close. It's okay. I'm not going to shame you anymore. I'm not going to. And this is this inner forgiveness that goes on with the work that we do, which is all about us healing our perception, not, you know, not placing our salvation in the hands of others or other things changing. And it's a surrender to faith and trust that comes with that. And I guess working with the fear of rejection, we have to teach people that they're going to feel the fear in their body. Because it's not reasonable to say to everybody, oh, but you're not your body, you're free. Because you just, it's not going to work for everybody. It doesn't work for me all the time, even though I believe it to the letter. I believe it. But sometimes on a bodily level, I don't feel it. I am not a body. I feel consumed in this. So we have to teach people to work with those sensations as well as just telling. Do you know what I mean?
I do, because what you're making me think of is like the speed of thought means that we don't always understand the sequence. So somebody feels like they're responding to their body, or like A Course in Miracles will say, the body can't be sick, only the mind can be sick. And the mind holds a belief that manifests itself in a certain way, dependent on what perhaps the weakness is in your body, whether that be a skin condition or some sort of ailment, manifests itself from a thought. And although we could have these sort of umbrella terms or an all-encompassing motivation from the ego, which covers everything, I think shame and rejection are two really, really powerful aspects that need to be, the whole thing needs to be picked apart. You know, I've used the explanation before. If somebody walks into your kitchen and on their work surface you've lined out, let's say, 1,000 pieces of spaghetti that have all got an inch between them and they're in perfect lines, and someone goes, wow, that looks amazing, you say, but yeah, you know, 2 years ago or whenever, that was a great big pile of spaghetti and I had to get every single one out and lay it down. And that's all of this intertwined trauma that manifests itself as one thing, but it's also made up of a huge amount of component parts as well that have to be all identified, separated, then seen as one again, then positioned so that you can look at it like you say, you know, with the ego, to you attack the ego, you're still in ego, so you can't. You need to position it so that you're here, it's there, you're looking on it with love and forgiveness. You know, it's only about a week or so ago, I had like a real aha moment with like the word forgiving, and I was just like, forgiving, love,
Give it up, to give it over.
yeah, you know. And that's been hiding in plain sight for like 50 years, forgiving. Love is forgiving. And Alan Cohen, who's a lovely teacher of the course, I remember once him saying, the love you're missing is the love that you're not giving, you know. So
it's so true. If you want something, give it. So simple. To give and to receive are one in truth.
Exactly.
This infinity that we live within.
Yeah.
Always. And it's not magic. you know, a lot of the way that sometimes when I first heard about law of attraction, for example, sometimes it's pitched almost as magic. I think of this and it appears, or, you know, but it's not about that. And sometimes we have to bring, like, I live in a state of like being, you know, looking for signs from the universe, and the universe is always talking to me. I live in that magical place. I love it, you know. But what we have to do sometimes, you know, being a teacher or working in the therapeutic, as a therapeutic practitioner in any way, we have to literally bring things down to earth. we have to bring these concepts sometimes down to earth. Even though I'm not always feeling grounded myself, I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'm like, you know, but I work with it. That's another story. But, you know, we have to bring these teachings down to earth. And with law of attraction, essentially, I believe A Course in Miracles and law of attraction, very, so many of the teachings are woven. And, you know, the Course would say myself is ruler of the universe, and to me that lesson really teaches LOA really, really distinctly, in terms of the fact that if we are on a certain vibrational frequency, if energetically, emotionally, which means we've got our thoughts on some level in a solid place, we recognize we're only affected by our thoughts, you know, it's not just that things will magnetize, as in, because that concept doesn't work for a lot of people. I mean, I feel it energetically for sure, you know, but I wouldn't teach that in the NHS. It wouldn't have got in the NHS. These teachings wouldn't have got in the NHS had I gone, okay, with this magnet, because great, we can believe it on a certain level after many years of work. But actually to say to people from that place of that emotion, and we talk about the emotion, if you're in the emotion of joy, if you can see even a difficult situation as a gift and you perceive it as, and you stay in the level of joy, well, guess what? Your eyes are going to be more open to opportunity. The action you're going to take is very different, because it's an action from a place of the love for what you do want over the fear of what you don't. And every moment we have that choice. So it's very, very simple. It's like, in this moment, I could be terrified. If someone's asked me to do something. If I say no, they might reject me. I would be so scared that they're going to reject me. So I'm going to say yes anyway. So we're taking the action from the fear of what we don't want. I don't want the rejection. So I'm going to live with it's the guilt we're bringing up. We're taking action from the place of guilt. We're taking action from the place of fear. Well, guess what? It's going to impact on the relationship. The chances are you're already rejecting yourself on a level. So you're going to be feeling rejected anyway. You're not going to be able to trust that friend. You're seeing them as a sinner as well, because they would just reject you for that. You're teaching yourself you can't show up as you. You're living in this, and you can't expand in that place because you feel crap about yourself, essentially. You feel crap about yourself. Whereas if you go, okay, I've got this fear of rejection coming up, but I'm going to give love for what I do want. I would really love a night in tonight. So it's not about, I'm going to tell them no aggressively. It's like, I would really love a night in tonight. And then we're showing up as us. And in that place, we're quite relaxed. You know, it might not feel it on the level of body, but the action we take from that place is very different. Then we'll feel well rested. We might have a creative idea flow through. It's like emotionally where we're at, which is dictated by our thoughts. It devises what we do in this world, and then the actions we take are different. So we, you know, sometimes it's not helpful to pitch like law of attraction as like this magic kind of, do you know what I mean? The slight difference there. It's like we're always choosing, we're always making choices of what we do and the energy we take an action from. And, you know, I like to keep it really simple like that, in the idea of like, every moment I have the choice to change my mind about how I'm seeing things. I don't always make the choice. I don't always make the choice. I've been studying the course for a long time. I'm not willing to lie to anybody. I don't think it's helpful for anyone who's a teacher or, you know, who, you know, who works in in a therapeutic role to, you know, to say that, well, it's not helpful for me to say like the ego, I don't suffer. It's about how we work with the suffering and how we frame it.
Absolutely.
I think that sometimes it can be really deceptive when we think there's you know, some people might become a Zen master. Some people, yeah, of course, some people probably live without suffering, but actually to teach that recovery is not linear. It's not an end point to get to. I find there's something quite beautiful in that. It's like this, and it's okay.
And like the courses, you you return as you go forward, because it's
Yeah.
an undoing. It's an undoing. All you
And we
know.
can be in joy about our suffering. It's a bit of a radical point, but we can be in joy about our suffering.
Yeah. I think that's what I was had in mind when I was saying about this identity that we have of ourselves based on our traumas, and how the ego just doesn't understand that the freedom is in actually letting it go and telling the secret and saying it out loud, and then we can start to cut the cords from it and redefine ourselves. And then, like, I know we've spoken in messages in the run up to today about, what happens then straight away. Altruistic thoughts and the idea of serving others kicks in straight away, and then you can reframe what's happened to you, and you can say, I went through what I went through so that I could become qualified and an expert in overcoming it. Right now, how can I help someone else to overcome what they've gone through? And all the best course, in my opinion, all the best course teachers are the ones who might do a video one day and just say, oh my God, I'm struggling with this or that, because people want to see that they're in the game as well, and that they're applying the principles,
It's
and that,
okay.
yeah.
We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to understand all the lessons. We don't even have to understand half of them. It's not about the level of mind, the understanding. It's about the actions that we take. It's about
Yeah.
the dedication, commitment that we have to healing. If we're committed to the peace of God, if we really want the peace of God, we have the choice.
Mm.
We just don't always take it. Um,
To
and
teach
a lot
is
of
to
people would go, oh my God, that's such a devastating thought. Oh God, it all relies on me. Oh my God, that's such hard work. That sounds like, but it's a relief.
That's right.
It's the
I
relief.
alone rule
Oh,
my
actually,
mind.
no one else is responsible. My partner changing is not, I don't need him to change for me to feel okay. I can choose to look at things a different way.
Mm.
We can take that choice in any moment if you want. Do you
Mhm.
want the peace of God, or do you want pain?
Mm.
There is a course lesson which puts it very, very clearly. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I really laugh when I hear some of these lessons. So simple. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. And
Mm.
many days we find ourselves, today I'm choosing pain. But this real little miracle happens when we just witness that we're doing that.
Mm.
Even if we're not willing to give it up already, we
Mhm.
just, that little watcher that just activate there going, I notice I'm choosing pain here. We might even continue to carry on choosing it. Yeah, I'm choosing pain. I'm
Yeah.
in this story. I'm lashing out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm choosing pain. I do have a choice to choose again. Not willing to give it up right now. And then go back to it. Fine. Fine. But sometimes there's that little inkling where the miracle just goes a little deeper when the suffering is, like you said in the beginning, when the suffering brings us to our knees, when that crack is so wide and the light gets in.
Mhm.
So keep witnessing what's going on. Okay.
Mm.
Choosing the joy of God or pain. Because sometimes in those moments of pure presence where we really see what we're doing and we see the illusion we've created, we see the drama and the mess that we've made in our own minds, sometimes when we see it, it's enough for it to just go, none of it fucking matters. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we're in our head so much. Oh my God, what if this happens? And I don't want to do this because in case that might happen and that might, and we're future tripping instead of just coming to the present and going, nothing matters right now. I'm just sat on a chair.
That's my favorite quote of all time, not just the course, is recognize what doesn't matter. Because how do you do that? You do it with the counterpoint. You have to recognize what does matter in order to recognize what doesn't matter. So,
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
but it's beautiful the way that that just kicks in people. It's like our qualification is our is
Sorry, I'm just putting my blue light glasses on for the screen brightness. Hope that's all right.
yeah, do it, yeah. Our
Reflective.
qualification, like it says in the course, is to teach is to demonstrate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring
Yeah,
energy to the table, cast that light. And if you have stuff that's going on that's difficult, guess what? You're a human being. But you know, how small can you make that period of time before you step out? Like a classic Bill Thetford thing, he used to say, yeah, you're going to go into it, ego, and the goal is like, you know, what used to stay like a scratchy old comfortable, not comfortable, a scratchy old jumper that someone's used to putting on. That's like, oh, that should go in the bin. They put that jumper on for an hour, then take it off and put something nice on. Next time, if it's 50 minutes, 40 minutes, until in the end, it's like, I don't think I'll put that horrible scratchy jumper on anymore.
It's really irritating, that scratchy jumper. Why have I been doing this to myself all this time?
That's right.
It's a
Somehow.
heavy cross to bear. Literally, it's a heavy cross to bear. Jesus will vouch for that.
That's right. But there's an aspect of like I like to use like the metaphor of you've got a stain in the carpet and then you're going to put a rug over the stain in the carpet, or you're going to get down and you're going to get rid of the stain out of the carpet. And we, you know, as Gabor Mate will point out to us about compensation and about this wonderful way that he deals with the evaluation of addiction. It's just a complete level playing field, whether it's chocolate, sex, alcohol, drugs, exercise, whatever it is, computer games, is all one level, and it's compensation, an external pursuit for something to try and fill a void inside yourself. And we know that from the study of the course, to turn your attention inwards and to look at all of this. And then you could have a drink or a piece of chocolate. You could do anything for the right intention coming from the right place. If it's a side dish to life, if it's an embellishment, if it's something you like to enjoy, but it's not something that you're looking for to try and fill this void. It's like, I think as well, like you've got two stomachs, you've got the one lower one, and if you have proper nourishment, then that fills, that satisfies that hunger. But then you've got this second stomach which you just like constantly grabbing, putting stuff in and thinking, why am I really hungry?
Well, that's my stomach. Yeah, it's true what you're saying. It's like stuff that enhances, stuff that takes away. We make things too complicated sometimes, unfortunately. And this is what I love about the course. Fear or love, joy or pain. Make the choice, you know, past or present, now. It's only ever going to happen in the now. Whatever you want in the future, it's only ever going to happen in the now. Gratitude in every moment is all that is due.
Absolutely.
That's all that is due in every moment. Because if we're in that energy of the gratitude and we witness how far we've come, we come to the present moment and go, oh my God, look how far I've come, or, you know, incredible, instead of going, right, what next? We never really get to enjoy the now. And if we're not enjoying the now, oh, sorry, but we're less likely to enjoy the future because we're creating the future right now. But it requires that we come to the present moment and all that it's abundant, the present moment, even if you're in a really difficult situation in whatever area in your life. And trust me, I've bloody been there. I just want to say to anyone listening, you know, like, because, you know, a lot of the time we go, God, but I've been through so much trauma. And, you know, I really did go through that, a lot of stuff when I was younger, you know, I was very, very, very mentally unwell. You know, I got sectioned under the mental health act, lived in hospital. I was very unwell with my mental health, as in like, I'd totally given up on life. And that was when I was a teenager, you know, to the depths. But we're looking for, in those moments of darkness, even just a glimmer of light is all it takes. And it's that, you know, it's not the hope that we want to encourage and harness, it's belief. The energy of hope and belief are very different. The energy of belief, positive belief and expectation, because we're aware that we're one with source, that belief is what carries us forward with faith and allows our hearts to be light. Hope is a bit more, it's a bit more in the future. Hope there's a chance it might not, but there's not a chance it might not. The universe is guiding you to exactly where you need to be. Trust. exactly where you need to be. Even if you're on
Also,
your knees right now in suffering, exactly where you need to be. Believe that and watch things change. Believe that, hold gratitude and watch things change. Eckhart Tolle, sorry, I'm always referencing Eckhart Tolle because I adore him, and he's one of the greatest teachers of the course. He started out teaching the course, Eckhart, and he's done a lot of talks I'd recommend on YouTube about A Course in Miracles. He once said an anchor in one of his talks. I think it's a talk he did called Freedom from the World, which I listened to on Audible. And he uses these two anchors. One of them, he says, is the masculine approach. I think it's the yang. Is it yang or yin? I don't know the difference, but I don't know. The masculine approach is in the moment of suffering, the radical refusal to harbour thought. Radical refusal to harbour thought is very directive. No thought. No thought. Right now, no thought. This like really strong approach. But then he brought through the feminine approach as well. And each will work differently for different people. Man or woman, we all have masculine and feminine. The other approach, which I love so much, is to come to the moment, in the moment that we're triggered, whatever's happened, something terrible might have just happened. And they're the moments that we need to come in. And this anchor is so beautiful. Thank you so much for everything exactly as it is right now. I have no complaints whatsoever. I have no complaints whatsoever. Thank you for so much for everything exactly as it is right now. I have no complaints whatsoever. Now that's magic. That's the place from which the inner strength comes through, because that's the truth of who we are. That's embodying the truth of who we are. The Son of God is our identity. And one with source? Are you kidding me? Thank you so much. What else is due? Then we embody the truth of who we are. When we're in the grievance with the present moment, it should be different. He should be different. She should be different. This situation, why has it happened to me? When we're in that resistance to the present moment, we're guaranteed to be in suffering. Guaranteed to be in suffering. There's no greater recipe for suffering than a grievance with the present moment the way it is. When we fall to our knees, thank you so much for everything exactly as it is right now. I have no complaints whatsoever. We'll just watch our lives change.
Makes me think of Ken, and his beware of the temptation to perceive yourself as unfairly treated. It's kind of like that's cancelled out.
Yeah.
Cancelled out by what you're saying.
Yeah, because we're in ultimate powerlessness mentality, which is at the bottom of the emotional guidance scale. Abraham Hicks, the law of attraction teachers, Esther and Jerry Hicks, Abraham created the emotional guidance scale. Right down at the bottom of the emotional guidance scale is powerlessness. Right at the top, empowerment. Empowerment, my salvation comes from me and only me. It cannot come from any of these things. At the bottom, powerlessness. I put my salvation in the hands of this situation changing. If this situation changes, then I'll feel saved. I'll feel okay. I can have peace. The empowered state of mind is I'm at peace with the present moment exactly the way it is right now. I don't need anything to change. I can appreciate it as it is. And then that changes, because the external world we see is only ever a reflection of the internal state. So it's not about the external, what we need to change. It's about what do we need to change within that will cause us to take the action on the external. It doesn't require no external action, but the external action from the place of changing our minds is dramatically different action than we take from when we go, everything is always shit for me, or whatever that the victim my identity would be, the powerlessness state. We have to be really aware of that. Because we love to inflict guilt when we're in our heavy ego, don't we?
And project it onto other people and try.
It's chief weapon, as the course puts it. I love the course language. It just goes, the ego's chief weapon is guilt. The special relationship's chief weapon is guilt. Well, it's true. Watch next time you're triggered. See who you're trying to inflict guilt on or make feel bad. Well, they were bad. I was bad. Oh, it's just like, and it's never true because we're all sinless.
Exactly. And also, the reason that we have these principles with the course is to teach us that there is no inner and outer worlds, there is just the one reality, which is pure abstraction, and then we perceive a world that doesn't exist, populated by aspects of ourselves that appear to be in other forms, all tainted, not tainted might not be the right word, but all colored by how we're perceiving them. And if we get involved, if there's me and you and your reality, if I take my small self out of the way, then you are who you are, I am who I am, and we haven't created another wall between that reality with a thought, a perception, a projection, and there's a lot of this stuff which is mechanistic. It's not like we're ever going to get away from it, because it's part of the way that our minds are constructed. But with the Course in Miracles, this beauty of like, to give and receive are one in truth. The idea that in worldly terms, if I gave you a gift, I no longer have it, you have it. I give you the gift of love or forgiveness, or an expression that comes from the pure aspects of our shared identity. Not only do you receive it, not only do I give it, but that act is a demonstration that I was in possession. My awareness was aware that I was in possession of that love to be able to give it to you in the first place.
Yeah, the acknowledgement we've already received it. So it's just beautiful. And again, it's the gratitude energy.
Yeah.
And it can be but my gratitude I earn. We don't even need a thanks for it.
Appreciate all the lessons that you've quoted this evening.
But I just love the course. I just think it's brilliant, and it just totally changed my life so dramatically. Following the teachings of the course, nothing else has changed my life so dramatically. And when I say dramatically, it's off the scale, because my life isn't recognizable to what it was before I started studying the course. It's not recognizable. It's like the expansion by dedicating even just a year of my life to the work. I'm only on the workbook for the second time around right now. I mean, I first did it more than a year ago, though, but in that time, my life is just, it's blowing up, because the course teaches you we're limitless. And then you have like a little belief in you. You start believing that even just a little bit, because I don't always believe that, when I start believing my ego, but when you realize, oh my God, I am one self, at one with all my brothers, limitless in power and in peace. When you start to recognize the magnitude of that, and the course does that. The course does that. Following the lessons does it very cleverly. I mean, well done, Jesus. Because I tell you what, he's knocked it out of the bag with with the course. It's just brilliant the way it's like all set out, and it guides you in such a beautiful fashion to reconditioning your mind, reconditioning the way you see the world. So beautifully written. It's just a treat. The course is just a treat. It's like an advent calendar. Like an advent calendar, you get a chocolate every day for 25 days. Well, Course in Miracles, it's like, oh God, what am I going to get today? Really, I mean, when I'm in my ego in the morning, I'm thinking, oh God, I don't know if I can take 5 minutes out to spend with God right now. When you're in the ego, it's like, oh God. But then on the days when you're just vibing it, riding it, opening that book and being like, oh my God, fear is not justified in any form. Wow. It's just like, it is brilliant. Just love it. And it's great that you're doing this work, spreading the teachings of the course. Like, yeah, I want to thank you, brother, for doing that, and the work you're doing in the world to spread these beautiful teachings and these beautiful messages of love.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to have received that message. It was just something I used to secretly use to inform the lyrics in my band of my course understanding, and then I just got a particular message one day via writing an article on the course that just went, this is just the start. And I was like, okay. And that was only in May.
Yeah.
Now already it's like unrecognizable.
exciting. Here's to expansion. Here's to change. Here's to evolution. I don't want to stay like this for the rest of my life, believing the same old things about myself, living a life that's it. No, I want to go off here, there. I'll try something new. We have to teach people that, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the taking action in spite of it. You don't have to be without the ego. You don't have to be without your fear. I want to make it very clear to anyone listening. How do I get rid of the fear? Oh my God. But fear sometimes feels justified. No, let's be real. Come on, let's be real and accessible as possible. You can do it with the fear. I do. I still feel scared sometimes, before I'm going to do something that's really great for me. Particularly, that we tell ourselves, oh, I can't do that. I can't start that business. Or who am I to do this? Who am I to teach the course? Who am I to, be a mother? Who am I? Who are you not to? And the course would teach that's arrogance. I love the way the course redefines arrogance and says, arrogance is to think that you are crap, or do you know what I mean? Basically,
You're not the Holy Son of God.
The course doesn't say the word crap, but it's like, who are you not to? You're here with purpose. Everybody is, and no pressure. You don't have to feel pressure. It can be. There's no time, so it's fine. If you don't feel okay right now, that's okay. But you're here with purpose. You're here with purpose. You're here to expand. Better believe it. Better believe it. The ego's not going to like it, but we're all here to expand. Shine our light big, and it's coming from the heart, not the head. Shine it out. Love yourself better. Forgive yourself. Be kinder to yourself. When you suffer, talk to yourself in a kinder way. Easiest way to do it. Easiest way to do it. In the moments that you suffer, you don't have to go too intellectual. You don't even have to listen to the course. You don't have to comfort yourself. Become the comforter. Okay. And this is why I love self-compassionate practice. Become the comforter. Comfort yourself when you suffer. Because I tell you what, the ego can't comfort. So you're not going to be in your ego. If you're able to bring through that comfort for the part of you that's suffering, where it's all enmeshed and we're seeing ourselves as a pain and we're in the trigger, what happens when we comfort? Then we remark who's doing the comforting and who's being comforted. And we've entered the higher self. And then the ego, we see it just as a wounded part. Okay, sweetheart, come here, come close. It's okay. We can't possibly be in the ego from that. And then we strengthen the higher self. And it's like building a muscle. It's like the more you pull that weight, the more you be kind to yourself. You give love to yourself, whoever you are. Give love to yourself in all those moments that you suffer. Come to yourself. It's okay. I won't reject you. I love you. You're safe with me. Talk to yourself as you would do a dear friend that you adore. I love you. It's okay. I know you're suffering right now. Come close. I won't reject you. You're loved. Well, then we're in the higher self there. We're in the higher self territory, all it requires, because then that to give and to receive are one in truth. It starts from within. And when we feel loving and forgiving with ourselves, it can't help but the ripples be flowing out and us to give love to others. When we're in a loving, we've all experienced it when we're feeling crap about ourselves. We're snappy with people. We're irritable. We have road rage, maybe. We're not feeling good about ourselves. If we can maintain love with ourselves, keep loving towards ourselves, it's going to just amplify. So self-compassionate practice isn't selfish. It's required. It's required that you forgive yourself. It's required that you tell yourself you are worthy. It's required that you tell yourself you're good enough, because you are. Whoever's listening, yet you're good enough. You're so worthy of love and expansion, and you're here with so much power. So, that remember that that's the truth of who you are. Everybody, no matter what you've done, no matter what you've done.
What a lovely message. What a lovely way to finish for us. And what a lovely energy you've got. And one thing I had in my notes in the build up today is there's no trace of trauma in your energy, even though, you've actually been very candid about, as most of us have, there's been bombs gone off left, right, and centre. So it was one of the things in my notes. So I do really appreciate what you're doing, and I know a lot of other people's lives have benefited. So look back on that darkness, and you can thank that version of yourself who noticed that little tiny chink of light, because now it shines like a sun and it casts itself onto us all. So last night I had
Likewise,
beg your pardon?
likewise, brother.
Yeah, thank you. So last night I had a beautiful prayer come into my mind, and I was like, oh, hold on a minute, I had to go and get my phone and jot it down. So I think we'll finish with that. It's quite short. So it said, I accept the healing light of God into my mind that it may extend outward and awaken those who think they sleep.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's, oh, look, she's come up. She's come up for that energy. She's purring her head off.
Mm.
Yes, sweetie. She's the Holy Son of God himself too.
Yeah, we've got a little sausage dog next door who also is.
You're a good girl. Good girl. She really is.
Thank
Oh,
you so much. Yeah,
thank you so much, Leon. Such a pleasure, brother. Mwah. So
really
beautiful
enjoyed
to see you.
connecting.
Thank you. Me too. Thanks so much for having me. Beautiful conversation.
Thank you.